Today's case takes us once again to the United States. On the Atlantic coast lies the U.S. state of North Carolina. In this state, about an hour's drive from the city of Charlotte, lies the small town of Shelby. Shelby seems to be the typical U.S. American suburb as we know it from numerous movies and series. Pictures show well-kept residential areas, a church building, and small cafes and parks. But in 2000, this idyllic image of the small town began to crumble. In the middle of the night from February 13th to 14th, 9-year-old Asha Degree leaves her parents' house unnoticed. She leaves her parents' house despite the cold temperatures without a jacket, takes her backpack with her, and is seen by two truckers on the highway that runs along her house. When one of the two truckers approaches Asha to ask what this little girl is doing alone on the highway in the pitch-black night, she turns around and disappears into a nearby wooded area. This will be the last time that Asha Degree is seen. You might think of her as a young runaway. But soon, mysterious objects start to appear, and it becomes clear that the secret surrounding the disappearance of Asha Degree will be almost impossible to solve. 9-year-old Asha Degree, who is known to everyone as Asha, lives with her brother O'Brien, who is a year older than she, and her parents Harold and Aquila Degree on Oakcrest Drive in Shelby. This street has a rural feel and is surrounded by lots of farmland and trees. Asha's grandmother lives opposite the Degree family. Asha loves to ride her bike and covers almost every distance with her beloved bike. Both Harold and Aquila work full-time, so their two children, O'Brien and Asha, are so-called latchkey kids. This means that they come home from school while their parents are still at work. Until the two of them are home and can take care of them, O'Brien and Asha are already doing their homework. As a result, Asha and O'Brien are very independent for their age. Asha is a shy, quiet child who is particularly afraid of large dogs and thunderstorms. She's in the 4th grade and is doing well in school. She gets straight A's and, like her brother O'Brien, is good at sports. She's also very interested in science and writing. She would love to become a journalist when she grows up. But Asha's greatest passion is basketball. The sport determines her weekends, just like the upcoming weekend, which Asha will spend with her family. At the beginning of February, Asha and her brother O'Brien have a reason to be happy. On Friday, February 11th, 2000, there are no classes at Felston Elementary School. Since Aquila and Harold Degree have to work, the siblings spend the day off with their Aunt Keisha, who lives a few houses away from the family. In the afternoon, the two children still have basketball training in the school gym despite the day off from school. This is because a big tournament is taking place the following day. As already mentioned, Asha is a great talent at basketball. And as usual, Friday's training goes very well for her. On Saturday, February 12th, 2000, the weekly basketball game is scheduled. Both Asha and her brother are playing with their teams in a tournament at Burns Middle School. It is the first game of the current season that Asha's team loses, which makes the 9-year-old deeply sad. She even blames herself for the defeat, as she was sent off the field for too many fouls and was therefore unable to support her team. After the game, the 4th grader even pretends to be injured and therefore unable to perform as usual, and claims that the referee acted unfairly. But Asha is not the only one who is disappointed. According to Coach Chad Wilson, all the team members are crying because of the defeat. After all, it is their very first game. While Asha also cries at first and does not take the lost game well, her mother, who watched the game until Asha was a little better, comforts her. Soon, Asha and her friends are laughing again and playing a little. Together, Asha and her mother then watch her brother O'Brien's basketball game. Coach Wilson says Asha is in high spirits at this point. I sat behind her for a while during the boys' game and we joked around. She didn't do or say anything that indicated she was unhappy. We joked around like we usually do, and she was very happy as she sat with her mom. After O'Brien's game, the Degree family drives home together, from where Asha drives to her cousin's house and stays overnight from February 12th to 13th, 2000. Katina is 15 years old, making her 6 years older than her younger cousin Asha. The two stay up late watching episodes of the two-series Soul Train and Showtime at the Apollo. On the morning of February 13th, Asha is picked up by her family to go to church and attend the Sunday service. Faith is very important to the Degree family, and they want Asha and O'Brien to grow up attending church and believing in God. So they all go to the Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church in Waco, about a 15-minute drive from Shelby. After that, they go to an aunt's house for a meal. After church and visiting family, Sunday is just like many other days. The family rests from the past week together and watches TV. Asha is so exhausted from the game the day before and the sleepover at her cousin's that she falls asleep for a short time around 6:30 p.m. However, she soon wakes up again because it is stormy outside, and the 9-year-old, like so many children, is afraid of thunderstorms and stormy weather. The two children should go to bed early because the next day is Monday and therefore a school day. Iquila still wants to shower O'Brien and Asha and prepares everything for it in the bathroom. But at around 9 p.m., there is a power outage in the area after a driver crashed into a utility pole. Accordingly, the mother decides against giving the children a shower and sends them straight to bed. While the family home is slowly falling silent, Harold Degree heads outside again at around 11:30 p.m. The following day, February 14th, is Harold and Iquila Degree's wedding anniversary. He wants to buy his wife some sweets as a small token of his affection. In the US, many stores are open longer than in Europe, for example, and some are even open 24/7. When he gets back to the house around midnight, he falls asleep on the couch. The power in the area is still out at this point. It is not until 12:30 a.m. that the power comes back on. Iquila wakes her husband to let him know and then goes to bed herself. Harold, who works the night shift and doesn't have to get up particularly early, watches a little more television and heads to bed around 2:30 a.m., checking on his two children one more time. Both Asha and O'Brien are lying peacefully in their beds and sleeping. Reassured, he goes to bed and falls asleep as well. Unbeknownst to him, this would be the last time he would see his daughter Asha. On Monday, February 14th, 2000, Iquila Degree gets up at 5:45 a.m. to get ready for work. Although the children's alarm clock usually doesn't go off until 6:30, Iquila still wants to wake them up. Since the children were unable to shower the night before due to the interrupted supply, they are supposed to do so just before school. But when Iquila checks on Asha and O'Brien, Asha is not in her bed. She immediately searches the house, and when she can't find her there, the immediate neighborhood. But there is no sign of the fourth grader anywhere. While Iquila searches nearby Highway 18, Harold contacts the police at 6:39 a.m. on the morning of February 14th. Asha's house key is also missing. When she disappeared, she must have been wearing white trousers, a white t-shirt, and white sneakers. We must remember here once again that the case takes place in February. Even in North Carolina, it is cold at this time of year, with temperatures below 10 degrees Celsius and stormy weather to boot. So if Asha really did leave the house alone during the night, she was not dressed warmly enough. Unfortunately, when a young girl of this age disappears from her parents' house, especially during the early hours of the morning and in the dark, the likelihood of a crime is obvious. For this reason, the sheriff's team does not wait long to investigate the Degree family home. But there is no sign of a break-in anywhere. Neither the front nor the back door or any windows are damaged. This rules out the possibility of a stranger entering the house, and thus also of the 9-year-old Asha being kidnapped. Harold comes up with the idea that Asha might be at her grandmother's house across the street. But the grandmother has not seen the 9-year-old either during the night or in the morning. On top of that, it had been storming all night, just as it had been the night before, so there is great concern that Asha may have gone outside and been caught in the storm. Asha and her brother O'Brien, who is a year older, share a bedroom, which is why he is naturally being questioned by the investigators. He says that he heard Asha moving around in her bed and getting up during the night. At this point, the sources provide contradictory information. However, it is not certain that Asha returned to the bedroom after O'Brien heard her. The 10-year-old was probably half asleep and simply assumed that his sister had gone to the bathroom or something similar. Of course, he could not have known how important a more precise observation would have been the next day. Soon, the neighbors formed a search group to scour the community again for Asha. But the search party also found no trace of the 9-year-old. Since the search for Asha was immediately discussed on local news channels, a witness quickly came forward who claimed to have made an interesting observation. The witness was a truck driver who had crossed Highway 18, where the Degrees' house was located, during the night of February 13th to 14th, 2000. At around 3:30 a.m., he claims to have seen a little girl standing at the side of the highway, dressed in thin clothes for the weather. The truck driver says that he drove past the little girl 3 times because he wondered what a little child was doing alone outside at 3:30 in the morning in stormy weather. But Asha, who was described at the beginning as a shy girl, ran into a nearby forest and hid there, so that the truck driver could no longer see her. He later described Asha's clothing, which she was wearing when she disappeared, quite accurately. "I saw a little girl walking down the street with a big backpack. She didn't look at me once. She looked like she knew where she was going. She was walking relatively fast." The truck driver's sightings are queried again in a polygraph test. The protocol shows no irregularities. Furthermore, the statement that the girl had a backpack with her fits with the police's assumption that she must have had her school backpack with her when she left the Degrees' house, because it cannot be found in the house. This sighting occurred at about 3:30 a.m., a mile from the Degrees' house on Oakrest Drive, and an hour after Harold Degree saw Asha still lying in her bed. So Asha must have left the house within this hour and made her way along the highway. A little later, at around 4:15 a.m., another truck driver claims to have seen Asha Degree. A little further south from the first sighting point, he claims to have seen a small figure wearing light-colored clothes. At first, he thought it was a young woman, not a child. "I thought maybe it was a case of domestic violence, with the woman leaving the house to go somewhere." The truck driver in question is a former police officer. He used the radio to alert other truck drivers in the area, asking them to keep an eye out for the person and to remain vigilant. But despite their observations, neither truck driver immediately contacts the police. Instead, they wait until February 14th, after the disappearance of 9-year-old Asha Degree has become public. In addition to the witnesses and Asha's family, her friends, school staff, and shopkeepers along Highway 18 are also interviewed. But none of them claim to have seen Asha in the early morning of February 14th. And no one remembers noticing anything strange about her behavior in the days leading up to her disappearance. Why did 9-year-old Asha decide to leave her house in the middle of the night, grab her backpack, and walk along the highway? What could she have been planning to do? On February 15th, about a day after Asha's disappearance, the Turner family, among others, is asked to search their property for clues. The Turners run an upholstery shop, Debbie Turner Upholstery, on Highway 18, where Asha was last seen by the 2 truckers. The upholstery shop also includes a barn where materials and tools for the business are stored. In this barn, the Turners actually find some interesting items whose origin they cannot explain. For example, a pin turns up in the Turners' barn that is a promotional item from the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta. In addition, a yellow hair bow in the shape of Mickey Mouse was found, along with a green marker and candy wrappers. Furthermore, a photo was apparently found in the barn, and no one knows how it got there. It shows a little girl, and not only is it unclear who the photo belongs to, but also who can be seen in it. According to consistent sources, The Turners report the discovery of the photo and the objects to the police department on the morning of February 16th. They are asked to show the photo to the police. There, it is shown to Asha's family. However, no member of the Degree family has ever seen the photo before or recognizes the girl in it. Because the Turners hear that the photo probably has nothing to do with Asha, they consider the other things found in their barn to be irrelevant and do not turn them into the police at first. On Thursday, February 17th, a member of the search party finds candy wrappers near the Turner property. He asks the Turners about this find, whereupon they show him the other items they have found in their barn. Together, the Turners and the helper decide to turn the items over to the police. Unlike the photo, the parents undoubtedly recognize these items as Asha's. The candy wrappers also appear to belong to Asha because they come from the exact sweets that the children received at the basketball tournament on Saturday. When one of the truck drivers was questioned again by the police, he was asked to show the place where he said he saw Asha. He did indeed point to a spot on Highway 18 near the Turner's house. He was given a lie detector test, which he passed. So there is no doubt now, there is a trace of Asha on the Turner property. But how exactly did Asha's things get there? The property is extensively searched, and sniffer dogs are also used to pick up Asha's scent, because it is possible that they tried to find shelter here during the rainy night. But there are no scent traces of Asha on the property of Debbie Turner Upholstery. Could it be that someone else took Asha's things and either lost them in the barn, or even deliberately placed them there to throw the police off the scent? To this day, it is still not clear how Asha's things ended up in the Turner's barn. Nor has the origin of the strange photograph ever been publicly disclosed. The fact is that no one associated with Asha can make sense of the photo, even though it was found among her things. In 2000, there was a newspaper appeal for readers who recognized the photo to contact the police. But since then, the picture has not appeared in any articles or reports. There are several possible reasons for this. Firstly, it could be clarified who the photo shows, and the person and their environment demonstrably have nothing to do with the case. But how did the photo and Asha's belongings end up in the Turner's barn? The second possibility would be that the police still don't know about the photo. But then why isn't the search for the girl in the photo continuing? The third possibility would be that the police know who the girl in the photo is, and they actually see a possible connection between the picture, Asha, and a possible culprit. But for tactical reasons, they withhold this from the public. The mystery surrounding the photo remains unsolved to this day, and I can already tell you that this will not be the last mysterious find in the Asha Degree case. The active search for the fourth grader from Shelby was abandoned without result on February 20th. As in many cases of missing persons, Asha's immediate surroundings are carefully examined first. Her parents immediately cooperate with the police, who they have alerted, providing them with all possible information and showing them the house. Later, both parents, like the truck driver before them, undergo a lie detector test, which also produces normal results. It is considered certain that Asha's family is not the key to the question of why she disappeared. The background investigation continues, however. An investigator learns from Asha's classmates that on February 10th, the Thursday before the long weekend, she showed around her wallet, in which there were some large dollar bills. But no one knows where Asha got the money. There may also be a strange connection to a book that Asha's class discussed in early February. The book, titled The Whipping Boy, is about a young prince who runs away from his kingdom with his companions and experiences numerous adventures before the two of them are kidnapped on a highway. Did this book, about a boy who wanted to experience adventure, have such a great influence on Asha that she packed her bag and left the house? But why didn't she take the bike that she loved to ride, and that would have gotten her there much faster? Before we look at a few theories in more detail, let's take a look at a development in the case that is once again causing the investigation to pick up speed and raising even more questions than we already have. It is Thursday, August 2nd, 2001. Almost a year and a half has passed since 9-year-old Asha Degree disappeared. While doing forestry work along a highway in Burke County, about 30 miles from Shelby, worker Terry Fleming came across a black plastic bag. Since he regularly digs up the ground in that area for work, he finds bags, pieces of clothing, or other objects under leaves and in the soil almost every day that were lost, forgotten, or left behind by people at some point. But there is something strange about this bag. When he opens it, he finds a black and beige backpack wrapped in 2 black plastic garbage bags. Inside, Terry finds a name and a phone number along with a few other items. He takes the bag home and shows his wife the contents on the morning of August 3rd. And his wife recognized the name. It was the name of Asha Degree, who had been missing for 18 months and who had been in all the newspapers and on everyone's lips. Terry reported the backpack find to the police, and by midday, a large team of investigators and specialists were on the scene to examine the location of the bag more closely. After consulting with Asha's family, the police have no doubt. The backpack found on the side of the highway belongs to the missing Asha Degree. It contains personal belongings and numerous items of clothing, but none of the clothes Asha was wearing on the night she disappeared. The plastic bag in which the backpack was wrapped, however, does not belong to Asha. The following items are said to be in the backpack: her favorite jeans with a red stripe on the side, a white nylon long sleeve, a red vest, a black jumpsuit with a Tweety print, a black and white long sleeve and Asha's basketball uniform, as well as a tweed-eye purse in green, black shoes, Asha's wallet, 3 family photos of the Degrees and the front door key of the Degree family, which disappeared with Asha on February 14, 2000. The area around the bag is meticulously searched, but nothing is found except animal bones and a pair of cargo pants. Whether these pants have any relevance for the investigation or are just lying around by chance is not known. Although cadaver detection dogs indicate the area 3 times, nothing is found. The contents of the bag do not appear random, but rather planned. An extra pair of shoes and 3 different outfits, as well as a few personal items, suggest that the luggage was well planned. Did Asha really pack her bag herself? And was she planning to run away? Actually, everything except the contents of the bag speaks against it. Asha is growing up sheltered. There are no known conflicts within the family. She is described by everyone as shy but happy and has no problems at school. Besides, there is still no trace of Asha. Even for an adult, going into hiding is almost impossible. How could a 9-year-old girl at the turn of the millennium manage it? Asha's parents also emphasized several times that Asha felt uncomfortable and downright afraid in bad weather. On the night of February 13th to 14th, it rained, preceded by a violent storm. It seems highly unlikely that Asha would voluntarily leave her parents' house and face the storm all alone in the middle of the night, especially given her great fear of severe weather, unless Asha had something specific in mind. As you can probably imagine, there are numerous theories about how Asha Degree disappeared. Some people suspect, for example, that Asha may have had a date. The fact that she disappeared on the night of her parents' Valentine's and wedding anniversary seems like an astonishingly large coincidence. Also, Asha is not dressed for the rainy weather. She's not even wearing a coat or similar when she disappears and is seen by witnesses. Did Asha perhaps assume that she would be picked up by someone with a vehicle and did not need a jacket? Or did she, as a 9-year-old child, simply not think about dressing warmer? Added to this is her great fear of bad weather. Assuming that Asha actually had an appointment with a stranger, the question would also arise as to how she would have known them in the first place. In the year 2000, the Degree family did not have access to the internet. There are no reports that Asha had her own cell phone. So how could she have established contact with a stranger with whom she had enough trust to go out into a dark, stormy night for that person? If you stick with the dating theory, it would actually have to be a person Asha knows well. It also fits that the week before her disappearance, she had more money than usual in her wallet, which no one knows where she might have gotten it from or who gave it to her. But the extensive investigations by the investigators do not seem to have revealed any suspects in Asha's environment. What seems clear is that Asha voluntarily left her house on Oakrest Drive. After all, there were no signs of a break-in or suspicious observations by other family members, especially her brother who slept in Asha's room. Even if he was half asleep, he would have noticed if his sister had been kidnapped. But why did Asha leave her home? Did she really just want to go on an adventure inspired by the whipping boy and face her greatest fears? Whichever way you look at it, something must have happened to Asha Degree. There is also the question of how Asha's backpack and its contents ended up 40 miles from Shelby in the ground. Why would someone choose to bury her backpack there of all places? It seems unlikely that Asha, even assuming she left her home voluntarily, would bury her last memories of her old life on a highway a year later. This fact inevitably supports the assumption that Asha was the victim of a crime. The fact that the backpack was protected by 2 black plastic bags suggests that a possible perpetrator did not want to destroy Asha's personal belongings. After all, the backpack could have been burned or simply buried to destroy evidence. But apparently the items were to be preserved. Was it really important to the perpetrator that the backpack be found? Or was the criminal so far-sighted that he wanted to ensure with this measure that tracking dogs would be less able to pick up Asha's scent? This would suggest an experienced offender or someone who had carefully planned the kidnapping and would support the theory that it was no coincidence that Asha ran into an offender in the heat of the moment during her escape. There seem to be 2 main possibilities. Either Asha wanted to run away from home and had a fateful encounter, or someone tricked her into leaving her house voluntarily and then took her captive. However, a strange confession suggests a third possibility. At a point in time not precisely defined in the sources, a man who is not unknown to the family makes a confession. Baron Ramsey, who is in Mecklenburg County Jail for a bank robbery and went to school with Asha's mother, Asha Degree, claims to have been present when Asha was accidentally run over in the early morning of February 14, 2000. He was sitting in a car with another man when the latter accidentally ran over the 9-year-old on Highway 18 in the direction of Shelby. The driver then carried the still-living Asha into his car and drove off with her after dropping Baron off at his home. A few days later, the driver and Baron drove together to Moss Lake in Kings Mountain, where they dumped the body of the now-dead Asha. The lake is actually meticulously searched with underwater cameras by divers, but no trace of the missing 9-year-old is found. At the same time, Baron Ramsey openly admits to hoping to be released from prison earlier for a clue in the Asha case. So it is possible that he deliberately spread misinformation in order to benefit from it. Today, this approach is no longer pursued. Therefore, it can be assumed that the investigators also consider Baron Ramsey's confession to be unreliable. And this despite the fact that it actually makes no sense to want to cover up a crime like a bank robbery with the confession of an even more serious crime, which in this case would be at least failure to provide assistance. In February 2002, the then lead investigator in the Asha Degree case was dismissed. He was accused of withholding relevant information in the case. Wayne Thomas, the lead investigator in question, however, claims to have been excluded from the investigation several months before his dismissal. Unfortunately, no further details of this matter are publicly known. In 2003, a check was made on a couple of sex offenders. 2 brothers who were the focus of further investigations for other crimes were checked. However, no connection to the Asha Degree case could be proven. On February 9, 2015, 15 years after Asha Degree's disappearance, the police announced that they would reopen the investigation. All witnesses are to be interviewed again. Furthermore, the FBI is offering a reward of $25,000 for information leading to an arrest in the Asha Degree case. Specialists are also creating an adapted image of Asha showing what the now young woman, who would be 24 years old in 2015, would look like. So, on the one hand, the the police seem to be ruling out the possibility that Asha left her family voluntarily at the time, while on the other hand, they seem to think it possible that she is still alive. Another year later, in May 2016, the police announced that they had received a promising new lead in the investigation. A person matching Asha's description was reportedly seen getting into an eye-catching car on Highway 18 during the period in question. It is a dark green car, either a Lincoln Mark IV from the early 70s or a Ford Thunderbird with rust marks along the tires. The car was reportedly seen twice on the day she disappeared. In addition, the police have issued a search warrant for 2 other items that are said to be related to Asha's disappearance. First, the investigators are looking for the owners of a children's book by Dr. Seuss entitled McElligot's Pool, which is said to have come from the library of Fulston Elementary School, which Asha attended. Both items are said to have been in Asha's backpack, which was found in 2001, but did not belong to her. Unfortunately, it is not possible to determine who may have borrowed McElligot's Pool from the library because the loan register does not go back that far. In a video call, the sheriff of the county says he cannot say exactly why these 2 items are so important for the investigators for tactical reasons, but he calls them essential for the further progress of the investigation. Both items don't seem to fit Asha very well. Although the book comes from the library of her elementary school, it is actually more suitable for younger children than for a 9-year-old honor student. The New Kids on the Block shirt also seems a bit out of place. It doesn't belong to Asha and, according to entries in forums, comes from a tour by the band in the early 1990s. When Asha went missing in 2000, the group had already disbanded and was no longer necessarily a household name for a 9-year-old child. In some forums, amateur detectives who claim to have owned the item of clothing themselves also write that the shirt is a nightgown designed specifically for young girls. Whether this is true or not is unknown. What is known is that the garment does not belong to Asha and she has no connection to it. So how did it end up in her backpack and who could it belong to? In January 2014, Donald Preston Ferguson was arrested for a sex crime. His DNA is then entered into a database and there is a match with the trace of a suspect in a sex murder in the 90s. A girl named Shalanda Poole was kidnapped, sexually abused, and buried behind an elementary school in North Carolina. Shalanda Poole also lived in a very sheltered household and shared a room with her twin sister. At around 6 o'clock in the morning, she woke up and realized that Shalanda was not there. Through the window, she saw Shalanda outside, seemingly waiting for someone. She called out to her, asking her to come back into the house. But Shalanda refused and left the property. This is the last time Shalanda Poole is seen. This account by the twin sister inevitably recalls the disappearance of Asha Degree, especially since both disappearances occurred in the same state. But here, too, a connection between Ferguson and Asha Degree can never be proven, although at the time of the crime he actually lived only about 40 miles from the Degrees' house. But since the investigation was unsuccessful, we have to assume that Ferguson had nothing to do with Asha Degree's disappearance. The case went quiet again. That is, until in the fall of 2020, the Star reported that the editorial team had received a letter from imprisoned sex offender Marcus Mellon. The 53-year-old is currently serving a prison sentence for a sex crime against a minor at the Alexander Correctional Institute. In his letter, he writes, "Asha Degree has been missing for over 20 years. About 4 months ago, I found out where she is and what happened to her. She was murdered and then buried. I know how and in which city she is. I hope you get this letter and come to me. Honestly." He asks the Star's editorial staff to contact the FBI and let him testify. The investigators follow up and talk to Mellon and another prison inmate. But all the information they get comes from second or third-hand sources and leads nowhere. This is the last publicly known piece of news in the case of Asha Degree's disappearance. To this day, it is not known exactly when and why Asha left her parents' house on Oakrest Drive in the night of February 13th to 14th, or where she was going. But numerous other questions have also remained unanswered. For example, how her pens and hair ribbon ended up in the Turner's barn, who the girl is on the photo found there, and what significance it has for the case. or what the book and the t-shirt in Asha's backpack are all about. Unfortunately, the Asha Degree case is one of those that seems to have an endless number of open ends that don't really fit together. But the hope that Asha's fate can still be clarified lives on. To this day, Asha's family organizes an annual memorial walk to commemorate their missing daughter. The walk, which takes place every February, follows Highway 18, Asha's last known route. To this day, Inquila and Harold Degree still hope that one day they will be able to hold their daughter, who would now be in her early 30s, in their arms again. I find this case extremely mysterious. No piece of the puzzle really fits with the others. From Asha's disappearance itself to her belongings in the Turner's barn and the discovery of her backpack and its contents, there are numerous clues, but connecting them seems almost impossible. Did you get any idea during the video what might have happened when Asha Degree disappeared? I'm curious to read your theories and thoughts in the comments. As always, I ask you to be respectful and constructive. Cases involving children are particularly sensitive, and I would appreciate it if you would treat them as such. If you liked my video, I would love a thumbs up and a subscription. With just 2 clicks and a few keystrokes, you can support this channel. Thank you in advance, and of course, thank you for watching. See you next time. Ciao, people.